Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fast Forward Series, Season 4. I'm your host today, Nastasia Dux, and I look forward to taking you through this very exciting topic today, also a passion of mine, which is e-commerce, and particularly e-commerce for small businesses. I'm pretty sure if you're joining today, this is something that is super relevant to your business, either because you're thinking about starting this journey, but might be a little bit intimidated, or you have already started your e-commerce journey and you may want to get some tips from some of the industry experts like Alan and really great entrepreneurs themselves like Rebecca in terms of how they use and see e-commerce and some of the opportunities within that. So if you are new here, Fast Forward Series are events, online events that we have of this nature, to bring all of these relevant topics to you, our SMEs of South Africa, so that we can help you run and grow your business. So if there are any topics, questions you may have, or anything of the sort that you would like us to bring into Fast Forward Series, please use our platform to engage so that we can obviously assess this feedback and bring you the most relevant stuff today as well. For today's topic on e-commerce, we'd really like you guys to engage in the chat. It's not very often you get to ask industry experts like Alan, who runs a company called eComplete, proficient in running e-commerce end-to-end, and Rebecca, who's actually taken her business global. She's the owner of the brand called Best, South African born, but has gone international. It's not every day that you get access to be able to pick their brains. So please, if you do have any questions for our guest today, use our comments chat. We will be monitoring it on the side. I myself will be monitoring it on the side as well. And please don't be afraid to ask any of the questions related to e-commerce that you might need help with. For a little bit of navigation on the platform as well, especially if you're new here, we have the comment section, which you will find when you look at the right-hand side panel of your actual desktop itself. If you will see that on the side there, and it's free text, allows you to be able to comment. During the session, we will also have a couple of polls, which we'd really like you to participate in, because this is what helps us shape our content in the session so that it's relevant to you as well, who obviously are our audience. So without further ado, I think the first thing that would be really great is to just find out where everybody's joining from. We're assuming that everybody is somewhere within South Africa, but if you are from, Western Cape, please give us a little bit of a shout out. If you're joining us from Joburg, please give us a little bit of a shout out. If you're somewhere in East London, it would also be great if we could see if we've got a couple of attendees today from like East London. So please post it in the chat. We'd really like to know where you've joined from. And then also, because this is a nice networking opportunity, please also post the name of your business and the industry you're in as well within the chat. That will allow us to start using some relevant examples that we may have. If you're perhaps in the plumbing business, if you're perhaps in the, whichever type of business you're in. We actually have somebody joining from Ireland, so that's super exciting. Welcome to people based all the way in Europe. Very nice to have you here. We've got some attendees coming up from Durban. We've got some people representing from Pretoria, which is great. Some people based in Midrand, and then we've got a couple of Joburgers in between. West Rand is starting to represent now as well, so I'm assuming that's Johannesburg, West Rand, Johannesburg. Awesome, guys, keep that going so that we know where you're joining from, and hopefully you're representing your city here today. Cool. So while we're letting that fill up, I'd really like to bring on our guest today so that we can get a little bit of an introduction, who I'm very excited on joining us today. So as I've mentioned, we've got Rebecca Scher. She is the founder and CEO of Best, which is a jewelry brand, but you'll hear a lot more about her brand. Some exciting things about Rebecca as well. She's a mom, a dog mom to a cute little French bulldog named Basil, and recently also got a little short hair British cat. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but called Bruce as well. Hey, Rebecca. So you're a dog mom and a cat mom as well.
My claim to fame, yes.
Awesome. And then a little bit more about Rebecca as well. So I actually personally started following Rebecca because I thought she was an influencer for the Glossier brand. Only to find that actually this is all just her own great work and she really believes in the product. So if Glossier is watching this, please add Rebecca to your payroll because she definitely influenced me to buy some products. And you also seem to love to cook as well, Rebecca. So you often share recipes about pastas and different desserts as well. So yes, really looking forward to learning a lot more about e-commerce today from you.
Amazing. Thanks. I'm so honored to be here.
Awesome. And then we've got Alan. Alan Jaffe is the owner of eComplete. And eComplete is basically an end-to-end e-commerce. If you've never heard of eComplete before, I don't know where you've been, but e-commerce has basically done some of the biggest, e-commerce journeys for some of the bigger brands in South Africa, like New Balance. Alan, are there any of the other bigger brands that you would like to refer to as well?
Yeah, well, firstly, lovely to be here. Very great or cool opportunity. Some of the other brands we run, anyone from a Pick and Pay clothing, a Dial-A-Bed, Russell Hobbs, YDE, a lot of very nice retailers.
Okay, cool. That's good. So guys, I've got a little bit of a technical glitch that's hitting me at the moment. So I'm going to go offline for literally 2 minutes. But I think what would be really great is to start, Rebecca, with yourself, giving us and our audience a little bit of an introduction. Why Best? Why did you start Best as a brand? And I will join back shortly.
Amazing. Okay, great. It's really such an honor to be here and to be able to share my journey with you. I hope through this you learn and we can learn together with questions you have and to share with Alan. Why I started Best. I mean, there's a few reasons why I started it, and I think the main one, and I think it's a nice link to Nastasia talking about Glossier. I've been a huge fan of brands, international brands, and following them and actually engaging with their products and seeing the power they have to really make a difference. I think big brands really do have huge power to do negative things and to make you feel less than and to make you need their product more than you actually do. And then on the flip side, there's brands out there that are really trying to make a difference while selling a product. So for example, a brand I really admired and was a big catalyst for Best, Outdoor Voices in America. Their messaging is, it's an athletic wear brand, and their messaging is wear our clothes and just do something. So don't be the best athlete. You don't have to be the fastest runner. Just put on our clothes and move your body and just do the best you can. So that was actually engaging with those brands, buying a few of their products and seeing the impact they had was a big catalyst for me. So that coupled with I'd studied architecture and really didn't want to be an architect. So there's nothing quite like the fuel of doing something that you don't like and needing to change your future. So that was a big one. It was both of those things. So the love for brands and seeing the power they have, and actually just having a burning desire to see the brands out there making you feel less than and wanting to change that. So it was that, and then like an absolute passion for jewelry too. I'm always one to accessorize. And I think the power of jewelry as a product is that I can wear a shirt like this. Someone can wear a different shirt. You can have a totally unique style, but our jewelry fits in with that and accentuates all the style that you've already got going on. So it's not telling you to change your style. It's really telling you to just use the jewelry as a form of to accentuate it. So it was that love for jewelry, love for brands, and seeing the power they had, and the burning desire to not be an architect that led me to want to start a brand. I started Best the journey to getting Best to launch started around the beginning of 2018. I found, in my head, I conceptualized what I wanted this brand to be. So to change that narrative of a brand needing my brand to feel, better. So changing that narrative of you're less than, and this brand or this product is going to change that. And also just like the increase in depression, anxiety. I've experienced depression, anxiety myself, and seeing the impact that can have, and wanting to make a brand that can actually have a positive impact in the world. I mean, that sounds all glorious and amazing. How can you really do that? But on a simple level, Best came as a process to say, we're here to help you feel your best, do your best, be your best. And this is where the name came in. So whether you're a mom, whether you're like an entrepreneur, whether you're trying to start a business, all of these things that like life is, it's full on, we're here to encourage you and be a platform and a space to help you feel your best, and create jewelry that accentuates all that you've got going on in your life. So you can wear our jewelry from the office to walking your dog to being a mom, and hopefully it just adds, it adds to your life and allows you to help you feel your best. So I started Best in 2018 with the, from there, how I got started. I guess I can start on the process of starting Best. I started building the brand identity, so this messaging that I've just spoken about, and started looking for manufacturers. I wanted to find manufacturers locally, but after meeting with 20 or so manufacturers in South Africa, no one could really create the jewelry that I wanted to create, which was specifically high quality, hollow jewelry. So why hollow? It's because it allows you to have larger hoops, styles that are bigger than just something that's small on your ear. Also adding to, like the boldness and just, really making it an item that can help you feel best. But why I need it to be hollow is obviously I want you to be able to go from the office to walking your dog to dancing and shaking your body all night long. And I want it to be comfortable. So it had to be hollow. And no one here in South Africa could make hollow jewelry, which then got me thinking, sure, maybe I need to look abroad. And we found manufacturers. Our first manufacturers were based in India. The one thing about finding a manufacturer when you don't already have a brand or a business, not even an email signature, I was emailing these manufacturers from Rebecca Scher at gmail.com, and no official brand. A lot of people most of the time didn't even respond to our emails, and the ones that did weren't really interested. So we've managed to, after a lot of back and forth, find manufacturers in India. The one thing that came from studying architecture is that I could do some 3D modeling and some drawing. So I drew the ideal jewelry collection, which was initially 8 styles, and got these manufacturers in India to start sampling them. There was back and forth. And while the sampling process was going on, I was then building the brand and building the brand identity. This was the most exciting process for me because I could really take all those brands that inspired me, like Glossier, all these brands that I engaged with, and try to make a brand aesthetically and with meaning that could fit in amongst those brands. That was the goal. That, if you were to see a Best logo and next to a Glossier logo or an Outdoor Voices logo, that it fits in seamlessly and it doesn't look like it's a brand from South Africa. So that was the goal. Daniel Tingchang, who is one of South Africa's leading designers, designed the brand identity with me. And during this process, we were sampling back and forth. I never actually traveled to India. It was all done by, Zoom calls, sending samples here, I'd assess and change and send back. And eventually we came to a product that we were happy with to go live. So the brand identity was built. We photographed the products. And part of the goal with photographing, it's a really big, it's a visual brand. I mean, the brand you've got a big task of trying to convey the messaging that this brand is for you, it's for everyone, it's for all the things you've got going on, it's here to make you feel better. We're trying to focus on brand as opposed to this brand is, you need this brand versus you need this product. And so how do you convey that all? And I think that was the biggest challenge, is through imagery and through the brand, it really had to communicate that. We decided to shoot the images we used a photographer who shot we didn't use models. Basically, we used everyday people who loved what we were about and loved the messaging we were about. And I think this is where the authenticity comes in. When you look at the people who modeled for us, Friends of Best, you can see that they are aligned with our messaging because they've found us, and that really comes through. So we photographed Best, and we photographed all the products, and started our online store. We built our website on Shopify. So I think this is maybe where Alan can come in with his expertise. You have this, wow, you need to start an e-commerce. You want to start an online store. How does that look? What do I build it on? There's so much to it that I think the beauty of being an entrepreneur is that you really have to tackle and learn all of these things very quickly, and sometimes fail. But ultimately, you really grow. So we chose to build our website on Shopify. I think a big reason why we chose Shopify is I would look to these brands that I was emulating, Glossier, I mentioned before, and I see what they're using. What are they building their website on? A lot of them were using Shopify, which to me was then like, okay, this is the one. You create a Shopify account, and you're like, okay, so now what? How does this become a website? Shopify have a lot of themes that you can edit, but I mean, some people can do it themselves, but there was a realization that this really needs to be done by a professional. So we had someone help us. We took a pre-existing theme, and edited it as much as possible to get to a place where it felt unique, but while still having to now recode and make it from scratch. It was built from a pre-existing theme. I don't know, Alan, if maybe this is where you want to come in and just chat about, your side, the benefits of Shopify as opposed to other stores. It might be useful for people who are deciding what to choose to build their platform on.
Great. So Shopify, amazing stat. They've got 4.3 million sites running on it, almost in every country in the world. And I think what stands out for me with Shopify is how easy it is to use. If you look in the traditional, I think the market leader in South Africa is WooCommerce, and way more sites than Shopify. But the challenge with WooCommerce is you need hosting, you need to install plugins, and you actually need a developer. And what Shopify has enabled entrepreneurs is to get a site online and be able to edit without all the complexity and downtime. And I think that's been very powerful. Rebecca, did you consider any other platforms?
There was another platform that we were looking at, but quite honestly, from the beginning, I just looked to what other brands, international brands were using, and Shopify was really it. So there wasn't much consideration. It is what we chose. The one complication with Shopify in South Africa is that it doesn't, aren't able to use the Shopify payment gateway, which is what payments are taken through Shopify and their system. So we use PayFast as our payment gateway. That was the only hurdle to whether we should choose Shopify or not, but it works really well. I think what's amazing about Shopify is, and this has come, through over time, is all the apps that you can use. You can, we have an email. We send our emailers through an email platform called Klaviyo. Klaviyo is linked to Shopify. Klaviyo is amazing, and to have these different apps that you can use that are connected to Shopify really allow the whole thing to be quite seamless, and function really well.
And with the Shopify plan you're on, do they take a commission, and has that impacted, or how has it impacted you?
Yeah, so you pay a basic. Are we on the basic plan? I think there's a Shopify Pro. I mean, there's a level up, which is insanely expensive, but we're on the basic plan, and they take a percentage of your sales every month. I mean, listen, it is an expense, but when you see what the platform is able to give you, I mean, I always justify it as I could have a physical store, be paying rent, and having to get people through the door to make a sale. And I mean, essentially, our rent is now Shopify.
And I would say a stigma about Shopify in South Africa is that it's a very small platform, and it's not enterprise. And what a lot of people don't know is Shopify actually has an enterprise platform called Shopify Plus. And the beauty is, as you grow, you can eventually get to that enterprise version. One of the key features that stands out is you're able to completely transform the checkout experience, which is a limitation. So when you get to that next level, that's a good conversation to have.
Totally. The goal is Shopify Plus. Hopefully soon we can get there.
Right.
Okay, so we chose Shopify. The website was then built, and by August 2018, we were ready to go. We launched the website. The launch was a huge success. In the sense that this is maybe a nice way to sign on, like, how do you get people to discover your brand? As I reached out to influencers or people, I tried to befriend as many people as I could, or in an authentic way, not saying like, please just promote my product, just like, I really love what you're about. And I found influencers or people's content creators that I really aligned with their messaging, what they were putting out there. And reached out to them and said, I've started this brand and this is what we're about. I'm going to send you some product. And if you love the product, please, if you want to share or give a shout out, it would be so appreciated, but nothing pushy. I try to make it as authentic as possible because it speaks to the brand, but I think that's how you build long lasting relationships. So I built some connections with some influencers, and when we launched, I got them to share and get excited about the launch, which was definitely helpful in our initial, getting yourself out there. There's a lot of noise that you have to cut through, and social media is amazing because it allows people to discover you, but on the flip side, you're competing with so many other brands. You're competing for space in someone's social media feed. Like, how do you make an impact and get people to actually follow? And then the next step is, how do you get them to actually get onto your website and engage with your website? So that was a bit of a process. I mean, we had people coming to our site initially, and it really was great. And it was a great launch in the sense that we got the feedback. We got people coming to the site and people saying like, wow, this is an amazing brand. And it was exciting for me because obviously there was a lot hinging on it, and then to feel like actually the launch was relatively successful. But the next thing is, okay, you've got this noise and you've got people coming to your site and people seem excited, but like, how do you actually make those people take the next step and purchase your product and trust your product? I think e-commerce, it's a fact. E-commerce is like 10 years behind the rest of the world, maybe even more, and like what on a trust level. I think people notoriously don't trust online as much as they did. I think COVID, it was a blessing and a curse. I think the blessing that came with COVID is it forced people to really go online, purchase, and see that their order would come to their door, and that it would debunk those myths of, am I going to get my order? Is this a scam? So e-commerce is growing. I can definitely see it's growing. As we grow, I feel like there's an upward spike in like e-commerce growing. I'm sure, Alan, you can testify for that. So yeah.
Maybe just to comment on COVID, we saw 3 years growth within 3 months, and I think what happened is a lot of the South Africans who were on the fence about e-commerce had no alternative, and they decided, was called forced adoption. So they went online, and like if we look at sort of the growth rate of the last couple of years, it's been unbelievable. And year on year, e-commerce is outperforming retail. So I think we're on the right trajectory. I'd love to see us get to 16 to 18% penetration of retail like the UK. But I think we are, I'm ahead in terms of those predictions now.
Amazing.
Awesome, guys. And thank you for holding the fort while I was away. So I had a couple of technical challenges, but I am back. I was able to follow the conversation, which you gave really, really good points. So one, I think, Alan, I just really would like for us to leave a couple of nuggets for some of our audience as we go along. When you're thinking about your e-commerce journey, think about the level of investment when it comes to requiring developers. So what I gauged was make a very smart decision up front about which platform you use. And it sounds like there's a overwhelming support for Shopify. Have I captured that correctly?
Definitely. I think
Awesome.
Shopify seems to be winning, and maybe just one other point. Hopefully it's a nugget, but before you launch, I think there needs to also be a lot of like sort of analysis on what is the right business model, who is the competition, because launching a product where you've got 100 competitors, it's very, very hard to compete. So what Rebecca's done, which is amazing, is a point of differentiation, and her product, after chatting to her, she has so many customers coming back, that repeat business. And that's what any business should also look at, is what's their ability to get a client lifetime value, clients that refer friends, clients that come back.
Awesome. So Rebecca, this is also something that I'd also really like to cover, because I think while e-commerce brings a lot of advantages, I think one of the things that it also does is it brings about a couple of disadvantages. When customers can't see your physical, beautiful products that you've created, it's very easy for competitors to almost, come in and say, we've got the same or similar quality, we've put the same craftsmanship into our like work and stuff. How do you use your e-commerce platform, even though that's a little bit of a limitation where people can't see your product, to overcome that as a challenge?
Great question. I'll just now take you through our site, and maybe I'll show you some points of how, things that I've made it to build trust and to make it compelling. But I think a big element is the importance of brand building. And why I say that is we put so much emphasis in building a brand, and that we a brand first, product second, which, initially you think, oh, how does that make sense? Because you need to sell the product, but the real value in that is that you build, as Alan said, brand loyalty. You have people who are attaching meaning to this brand, which is what I was trying to do and what I was getting from all these international brands. And that I'm coming to your website, or I'm engaging with your brand, not necessarily for the product first. It's to have get a feeling for what this brand's about. Our social media is not just pushing product, it's pushing meaning. Like, Mondays are hard days. We acknowledge that you probably have a very long email list, emails to get through. We're wishing you the best. Like, you've got this. And for it to be a place where you're getting a bit of reprieve from the usual online world of like, buy this product. I don't have any money. I'm aspiring to buy this product. So that was the goal first, is to build brand. And I think that really paid off. Initially, it's hard to build that brand, but once you've got it, it really pays off, because you have a lot of loyalty, and you have people who then do buy the product and come back and buy all the other products. So it may be an initial, slog, but once you get there, it can be quite fruitful. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my screen. I'll take you through our website. I think it's a nice way to give, a look at what. I think the two things that happen, you've got someone who comes to the site. How do I engage? And this, another caveat is that our website has evolved over time. I think you launch it thinking it should look a certain way, and then you think, oh, actually, this button, we added bestseller here because we needed to let people know that this was the best thing to buy, and we needed people to engage with the site. So for starters, when you land on our site, we wanted the color to be a big feature. So I think you can engage with a lot of jewelry brands where you've got it's quite muted tones, and it's focusing on product as opposed to the brand. So I think when immediately you hit our site, you get the feeling of like feel good jewelry that fits onto anyone's style, any type of person. So that's what we were trying to achieve here. And the biggest challenge was, you've got this product that you think is amazing, and if I may say so myself, it really, we found manufacturers. We've since changed from Indian manufacturers to manufacturers in Thailand who are really world class, and our product, they manufacture for very big brands around the world. So we have the knowledge that our product is the best. excuse the pun, but how do we let other people know and how do we convey this message, which actually is really challenging because these are very simple gold hoops. I mean, there's nothing on here that's distinguishing this from another brand. And how do you get people to, know that these are the ones? So obviously description, but I think the biggest thing and it was very, helpful for us was having this element here that we added is about what's in the box. So people know that they're getting more than just the product. They're getting a beautiful box. They're getting a cleaning cloth to clean their products. These are all, like small one-liners that allow people to know that they're getting, to qualify the product. But
so your website, Rebecca, is basically playing the role of a sales consultant in a store. If you'd stocked your products physically, except now you get to determine what to tell the customer and ensure that they actually don't forget, which I see as one of the advantages of online. Do you just want to expand a little bit more on that?
Totally. That's definitely an honor. You able, when someone walks into your store, they see a product and they walk out, you lose that opportunity to really say, wow, look at the product in all these different forms. Look at it on all of these different people. I mean, it's actually, there's huge benefit to that. And then this is something that we added where you qualify the product and you allow trust by having people come on and this is actually an app that we built in, that we added to Shopify that allow people to make reviews. And I mean, I'm landing on this earring and I'm thinking, okay, that's just a simple earring. Cool. And then I scroll down and I see people who maybe are relatable to me in demographic or potentially age. And I'm like, okay, those look great on her. And then I come down and I see people saying that they love the product and that they're lightweight and gorgeous and that I wear them every day. And these are moments where the person can think, okay, actually, this might be the product for me. And hopefully the goal is that they say, add to cart. And once they've added to
So Rebecca, before we move off on that point, I actually don't want to lose this because I think this is super important. And Alan, you can maybe just tell us how much of a role something like online reviews actually play in building the trust. So if you're a new brand, people have never heard of you before, what is one of the first things that builds trust? Other people having engaged with the brand. We previously had the CEO of Hello Peter now on one of our Fast Forward series as well. And he even shared some of the insights around people trust other people, and that helps build an invisible brand to becoming something that people trust. So how much of that, Alan, have you seen, especially in newer brands entering the space, e-commerce only, don't have physical presence? How much of a role does something like reviews play?
Reviews are very, very important. And if for those of you who shop on Amazon, you shop by reviews, and it can actually be detrimental to a brand because there's sometimes fake reviews. And I mean, if you look at Takealot, they also have a lot of reviews. But in terms of the apps that Rebecca's using, they verified real customers, and that's what gives it clout. And actually reading honest reviews, because sometimes someone may say, this was great, but the packaging had a little mark on it, and it builds trust. And it's one of the critical components to buying, because don't take my word for it. Look, these are all the satisfied customers, and almost like herd mentality. We want to see what people like, and that leads us to a purchase. It's almost like in my world, when I see a good review, I actually filter by reviews on most sites. That's my purchase criteria. But another point, you spoke about not having physical retail, and that is creating more friction. So reviews help, but what I love what Rebecca's done is free, speedy shipping and returns. So think about it now. You've just bought something. You're worried, is it the right product? That can impact, that one line can impact a huge amount of customers who all of a sudden have no risk. So there is no barrier. And that's where she has now a strategic advantage over retail, because she has greater global reach.
Awesome. And then just Rebecca, on some of the, I mean, these are pretty amazing product pictures, but very unconventional. I mean, you've got a couple of gifts in between, very close-ups of the package of the product, but then also a little bit further away in terms of everyday use. How did you get to this like mix of imagery and color scheme to start using? Because you obviously mentioned that your website evolved over time.
So in terms of the color scheme, as I was saying, our designer Daniel Ting Chong designed it, and honestly, I give all credit to him in terms of the aesthetics and color choice. But the idea was to really create an impactful brand through color that's unique to different brands you see, and the color, I think, really aids in communicating that feel good, exciting. The color was super important here. So I give all credit to him in the choice of colors and how they play together. And they really do differentiate us from different brands and what people are using out there in terms of color. In terms of imagery, this was, we wanted someone with hair that, you often see jewelry pictures taken where someone's hair is scraped back, and the hair is not really part of it, because you want the jewelry to be seen in all its lights. But we were saying, we found models with all different hair types, so that the hair is part of it. You buy this earring and you may have really curly hair, or you may have really straight hair. We wanted you to see that, really, as you are, you don't have to change your hair. You don't have to. This jewelry fits in with what you've got going on. So that's particularly that what we tried this imagery to convey. I mean, this model was amazing. She's a friend of Best, and she's such a powerful image. She's wearing these simple, tiny gold earrings, but you can see that in that shot, she feels power, and that was the goal.
Awesome. So these images help to get more people to browse, to add to cart. What were some of the things that you did to get more people around? I've got this product in my cart. I'm sold on it. I've read the reviews. I've seen the pictures. I can picture myself in it. What are some of the things that you've added in as well?
So this is where it comes in, is okay. So I add the product to my cart, and how do I make sure that this person's added this to cart and actually presses checkout and doesn't go back, doesn't and doesn't think, oh, okay, maybe I'll come back. And I think and I took this from inspiration from other global sites, is that sometimes you add an item to cart and it takes you to a separate page. So you won't have this behind here. It takes you to a totally different cart. And why that's a problem is it now is taking you to a new page, and it just allows more opportunity for drop-off. So we chose the sliding cart mechanism. I also can't take credit for this. This is just looking at what other brands are doing internationally and following their methods. But you have the sliding cart that pops out, and in the sliding cart, the point where you press checkout is not you have to scroll down, find checkout, another opportunity for drop off. You get the person to see the button. It's all very clear here what's in my cart, and I press checkout and I go to the next page and I put in my payment details and I pay. So the goal was to make it as easy as possible to pay without, to get to the point where they're paying without reconsidering. This has actually been a really, really fruitful banner for us. We added this in where someone can very easily just add scrunchies to their cart, increasing their cart value, selling something that's, a little bit cheaper that they can add to their order. And you won't believe how many people just add a pack of scrunchies in because they saw that banner. So things like that help increase your cart value. And then sweet things like this. We thought, you could just say if you've qualified free shipping, but we thought, woohoo, you've qualified for free standard shipping, making it fun, making it exciting. And then, if this is not in here, for example, we take out the quins, it'll tell you how much you need to add to your cart. So maybe you want to get free shipping, so I'll just double up on the scrunchies, and then I know I get free shipping. So these are all tactics that really help increase the cart value and get people to make a sale. So that's on a cart level.
Rebecca, before we move off on that, I think one point that I also just want to raise, and I think, Alan, if you can just bring in some of these insights as well. South Africans use their mobile device pretty much more than other parts of the world, especially when you compare it globally. So when you're designing e-commerce journeys, it's important to see a beautiful website when you're looking at it on your laptop, but also more importantly on people's phones. How easy is it for people to find that checkout button, the add to cart button? How much of a role does mobile first design play, Alan, in driving conversion rates? Because I sometimes think people don't put enough emphasis on that.
It's massive, and unfortunately, it's an afterthought. So you should go mobile first. For some of our clients, more than, in some cases, 75% of all their traffic is from mobile. And what you find is the conversion rate on mobile is sometimes half, if not a third, of what desktop is, which means you actually need to work a lot harder. And I think with Shopify, when you're comparing sort of desktop to mobile view on a responsive site, you should also just, immerse yourself as a customer. Can I search for a product? Where's the call to action button? But I think the key thing is simplification, that you don't want a user to scroll all the way down. With my fingers, I like to see 4 little buttons, 4 categories, but the Shopify experience, especially on mobile, is very, very good. And that's the beauty, is you're not reinventing the wheel. You're getting a solution that works. But depending on how you design it, if you're going to use the theme, I think it's important just to compare the different versions of what is displayed on mobile versus desktop, because you can restrict certain elements. But I think the key is simplify it.
Awesome. And I just want to see, Rebecca, are these some of the tips and tricks that you've been using for Best as well as you've been optimizing your website?
Yes, definitely. And I think when we were designing the website, I mean, as soon as you've designed a page or you want the page to look like this, you may not have images in yet, but you can on Shopify click mobile to show you how it would perform on mobile, how it would look on mobile. So that can change your decision on whether actually this design, it may look nice here, but how does this perform on mobile? And I think it was a constant pull between the two. We never just designed this and then went and made sure it looked good on mobile. It was a constant move between the two.
Awesome. So now you've products been added to cart. They can find the checkout button very easy. You've enticed people around free shipping, or try to get them to add more products so they can get to free shipping. What are some of the other things that you've added? I see a little bit of a promo code as well. How does that work in your business?
So one thing that's really generates quite a lot of, promotes a customer to want to make a sale is our sign up to our newsletter. And there's been huge benefit for that, obviously, because if we get them to sign up to our newsletter every week, we can send them emails to talk about our brand or what we're selling and really build that trust and long-term, have them long-term as a customer. So our goal is to definitely get them to sign up to our newsletter, and to entice that, we give them 10% off on every order. So I'll show you here. Normally there's a little pop-up that comes up here, but because I've been on the website a lot of times, the pop-up doesn't come up. But you can subscribe to our newsletter here, and when you press subscribe, it puts you into a funnel. So we use an app called Klaviyo that helps us, create all these flows. And when you put your email address in, you'll be sent 3 emails consecutively, 2 or 3 over the course of the next week and a half, which sounds irritating, but we've tried to make it that it's value add. So the first email would say you've left X, this and this in your cart, don't forget there's 10% off, use your code and you can get this product now. And if that doesn't work, then the next email they receive is, this is what we're about as a brand. Here's some bestsellers. This is what people are buying. This is what people are saying. We share some reviews. And hopefully then after the second email, the person is like, okay, I'm ready to go buy this product. But some brands have 4 or 5 or 6 emails that you can send out. You can really, you've got someone who's come to your site. They've selected a product. They've added the product to the cart. They're really keen. I mean, we'd call this a hot customer because they now know what they want, exactly the style, and they've gone through your site and they've engaged with it. So this person is now really keen to actually purchase this product. And how do we convince them? So that's where subscribing to the newsletter helps, because we now have them in and we can convince them. But I think a nice point to touch on is, you have this buy our product. Here's our best sellers. We need you to shop now. But how at the same time are we balancing this messaging of really wanting to be a brand that's not only product focused, that's, adding value beyond just product. And what we've tried to do with our emailers, and I think it's really well received, we have some really, really good email stats on open rate and people actually engaging with our emails as opposed to what the median is. And I think a big reason for that is our emailers are not just product focused. So some days, last week's email was really fun. Someone received the email you would receive if you'd subscribe to our emailer list was, we're going to play a game of would you rather. So in the email was, like, would you rather do this or that, and there was like a whole bunch of things you could select, and at the end it said, would you rather Quinn earring or Sydney? So there was a little subtle product thrown in there, but actually it was more just a fun email to break up your day of like all the stuff that you usually get in your inbox. So we try to balance out what we send people, but email marketing is huge. It's a huge generator. I don't know if maybe you also want to jump in here, Ellen, and talk about it, but we see huge success in our email marketing.
Email is really, really important. I think the tool you're using, Klaviyo, is one of the best out there, with no disrespect to MailChimp, but I don't think it competes. Another interesting thing is when you send that newsletter and somebody has either signed up for the sign-up offer and they arrive on the site, when they click add to cart, you get an abandoned cart. And what a lot of people associate an abandoned cart is after checkout where you failed to pay. But with Klaviyo as a tool, it can actually send products that you looked at. It can send recommendations. It can, if I bought, not in your example, a tennis racket, in 6 months' time, it could say, do you need more strings? So crafting, what Rebecca's been very good at, is crafting specific user journeys based on who the customer is, what they've bought. And that personalization is the key to differentiation.
Spot on. I think one other thing that I just want to add as well, so that our audience takes this out, is that e-commerce is a multi-pronged approach, right? So the effort you put into your email tools and how that helps you either build a following, build your brand, or drive more sales, and even some of the other platforms as well, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I know, Rebecca, a lot of what you also share that complements your e-commerce platform is a huge coverage of your Instagram account, based Instagram account. How does Instagram, along with your email marketing strategy, bring everything together? What are some of the differences that you use email marketing for versus using your Instagram account?
So I think what we've really tried to do with Instagram is make it a place, as I said before, that's not just product heavy. I think people are not necessarily choosing Instagram to buy a product now, as opposed to what email is. Email is saying, buy this product, I click this product, I go to our website, I buy the product. Instagram is, I'm engaging with all you are as a brand, and I see those earrings, they look nice, I'll save them and maybe I'll get them later. But the focus for us for Instagram has been quite strong on brand building. Instagram is a tricky one because the algorithms change quite a lot, and sometimes they're in your favor and then sometimes they're really not. So it's a bit of a beast that's quite hard to tackle. But one thing that we've tried really hard to do is get user-generated content, which is hard if you're selling a tennis racket, but a lot easier if you're selling jewelry, because people are generally taking selfies or pictures of themselves, and customers sometimes tag us, which I'm always so grateful for. And then we have, we reach out and say, we really love this image of you. Do you mind if we use this for our Instagram? And then all of a sudden you've got jewelry on real people that we can then use in our Instagram to sell. I mean, you also see on Instagram that I feature a lot, mainly because sometimes you end up being your own model. You're building the website, but you're also sometimes the model. And all of these, I mean, video is huge. I try filming myself with earrings. It performs well, but Instagram is quite a difficult beast. But we do try keep every day engaging with someone on social media, and we create links on our stories to the website, try getting people onto the website. But I see Instagram more of like a brand building, a brand as opposed to product. I think that's where Instagram is strong on. TikTok, we just started engaging with TikTok. I think as a small business, there's only a few of us on the team. It's hard to do all of this at once, and hard to like master TikTok, master Instagram, master email. It's hard to do it all, but we're trying to have all our fingers in the pie. TikTok is actually a beast in itself that I believe has been huge for businesses, and I think we're hoping to get maximum use out of it one day. We're trying to slowly, but these are all channels that allow you to show your brand in a real way. So not hard selling product images, but like jewelry on people. And I think that's where it's part of its huge success can be.
Awesome. Guys, I just want to take it slightly back to topics around shipping. I think delivery and the fulfillment process is like a beast when it comes to small businesses and them understanding it. So there is a question around drop shipping, but I just think, Rebecca, if you can maybe just share a little bit about your journey on one, locally, how you solved for your shipping process of your process, because even though your product is quite small to ship, it is quite expensive items, right? That you would need to deliver. And then I think, Ellen, if we can just cover the topic of drop shipping secondly. What is it? How does multiple fulfillment kind of streams actually help you grow your business as well? So Rebecca, first with you on your fulfillment process.
So I guess we've tried and tested both models. We started with me fulfilling myself. Orders would come in, I'd fulfill them. We have a courier company that we use called Primetime Express, but there's so many courier companies that actually now have plugins to Shopify. So when an order comes in, it pulls the order out. You can print the label and attach it to the box. It's actually quite easy to do. But with increase in orders, it was hard to manage both. So we started with that, and then we moved to a third-party warehouse who started fulfilling our orders, which we no longer use anymore, because I think what's difficult, it's great for tennis rackets. I keep using that product example because it's, you pull it from the shelf and it doesn't have a beautiful box with tissue paper and a sticker and a card. We try and add value to our shopping experience, that when someone opens the box, they're wowed before they even seen the product. And it's quite hard to get those finer details with a third-party warehouse where they've got hundreds of products going through. It's really beneficial because it obviously allows you to not have to employ someone full-time. They're managing the team, they're managing couriers, which can be difficult to manage and handling it. But we unfortunately found that there was just a level of detail that we weren't quite getting, which was important with the high value product that we were selling. So we now do fulfillment ourselves again. I initially started writing a note to every customer. Everyone would get a note that said, like a customized note, so-and-so's name. Obviously, it was amazing at the beginning, but it's also hard to manage as you scale. So now there's, set standard messages that I've written that just get sent out in every box. So there's a way to make shipping and the product experience really special, which qualifies the product that they're opening, but also thinks, actually, I want to buy more, or I want to buy this as a gift for someone. So from a aesthetic perspective, there's a real opportunity to make shipping amazing.
Awesome. And then Ellen, just around like drop shipping. So firstly, what are the different types of fulfillment processes an e-commerce store could use? And then more in particular, what is drop shipping?
So maybe starting back to front, drop shipping, you've got a beautiful e-commerce site and you've got thousands of products, but all those products are fulfilled from third-party sort of wholesalers or distributors. Now, it's very popular in the US, and a lot of people in South Africa are trying to do drop shipping from the East, from like AliExpress. But what Rebecca just touched on right now is the Achilles heel, is the customer experience. So all of a sudden, you've got a third party, someone in the East who's handling your fulfillment, and the customer calls you and says, where's my product? You can't say, well, it's my third party drop shipper in this country and I'm waiting on them. You've taken payment. You have to take ownership. But in like not using too many suppliers and having sort of a scenario where the order is placed, it goes straight to a third party who's actually in charge of your fulfillment, who sends it to the customer. You and the customer have full visibility and tracking. In that model, it can work very well. I don't know why, but my Instagram feed is flooded with how to retire being a drop shipper. And I've done a lot. So I don't know. I am intrigued, but I think there's a lot of challenges.
Awesome. And then also just, Ellen, you touched on earlier, one of the advantages that Rebecca has on her site is that she offers free returns. And I think for a lot of small businesses, this delivery process is probably one of your biggest costs. Rebecca obviously touched on investing in making it a beautiful experience. So you still do get that, but that obviously comes at a cost, and including if you're offering something like free returns. Is this something small businesses getting started with e-commerce should consider? Because like, how important or not is it in building up a good customer base?
So it's a great question, and it's actually counterintuitive because you're a small business. Are you crazy? Why should we give free shipping, free returns? We're going to be bankrupt if this continues. But I've experienced a real world example of a very big brand who was reluctant to offer free shipping. And the minute they offered free shipping, their sales went up, and the proportion of cost, call it lost, because they had to cover it versus the gain exceeded it by 3-1. So same thing applies for returns. I mean, fashion, 12 to 14% of your orders are returned. But Rebecca, I would assume in your business, it's not 14%, it's probably very low. So
It is low.
you're yeah, exactly. So you're offering, it's almost like an insurance policy for the customer. And I think for small businesses starting this, what I would recommend is, number one, don't offer just free shipping. Offer free shipping over a certain value, which I think is important. Number two, in the South African market, there are courier aggregators now, which means they use all the different couriers. Sending from Cape Town to Joburg won't hurt you, but sending from Cape Town to like an outlying area, that will hurt you. That's where it creeps in. So keeping control of your costs and your free delivery based on where the customer is, also what they bought and how much they bought, is very important. Even from loyalty, if a customer's a VIP, they bought 3-4 times, offer them a selected promotion on free shipping as well.
I think where free shipping is so powerful is that little, like a banner that we have on our site, free shipping and returns. It's more actually just another qualifier to say, buy this product to encourage conversion. Because I built it into our costs. I know that our product costs X, and part of that cost is free shipping, 79 Rand or whatever it costs for shipping. It's built in, but the free returns, I was reluctant at the beginning, because now you're paying 79 Rand to send it there, 79 Rand to send it back. But your return rates are so low that when that does happen, if you divide the amount of returns by that one time you return, it just encourages person. If I'm doubting whether the size is going to fit me, let me just buy it. 9 times out of 10 they love it, but let's give them the option to return it.
Awesome. That is so powerful. And I think, Rebecca, one thing that I was very excited about was seeing your business not just going like national, but also going like international. And you now ship internationally as well. So how do you, firstly, how did you get started with that? And then also, how do you manage those costs?
Cool. Going global was, obviously, you always have these goals and you're like, will that actually be possible? At the initial, when we first, started, we found, I think, a big catalyst. I'll tell you the story of how we decided to go global. A big catalyst was actually COVID. COVID happened. E-commerce stores were closed. We couldn't shop online anymore, which has its own, story. Maybe later I can touch on developing how we developed the best blog and it's linked to that. But, you can't sell your product anymore on your site. Our manufacturers in India were really, really taken badly by COVID. They couldn't produce at the level that we needed to anymore. The quality we were getting was just actually starting to become a hindrance to our brand. And how do we, you've got these products that are coming and they're bad. What do we actually do? So we then decided to pivot. I think a word that was used a lot during COVID, and try search for another manufacturer. And this is where it came in, because we had to find a manufacturer. Now we've got a business though. So you're now reaching out to manufacturers, not from RebeccaScher@gmail.com. You're reaching out to manufacturers with a website and an established brand, which was a lot easier. So we managed to find a really, really amazing manufacturer in Thailand who manufactures our products now. And we received these products and we were blown away by the quality. And the quality was really world-class. And that's what actually got us thinking, you've got this world-class product. How do we get it to the world? And I'm aware of time, but a quick way we managed to do it was we found a fulfillment warehouse in Ireland. I see there's someone joining from Ireland who we sent our product to. They housed our product, and we have an online store in Europe that when the product comes in, goes to the warehouse then pack it and send it. So that sounds quite simplified. Obviously, it was quite a process to set up, but it's doable. It's definitely doable.
Awesome. So Rebecca and Alan, we could carry on this topic for ages. I mean, we've tried to capture some of the questions, and I think all the questions we couldn't get to, we will ask yourselves, and in the post write-up definitely included. But if there's any tip you want to give to small businesses thinking about starting the e-commerce journey or needing to invest more in making sure that it's a success, what would your advice be?
I think number one is think big. I think as South African businesses, we always think small, and thinking small, even from like an aesthetic perspective, we look to South African brands on how a brand needs to look, but actually look global. Find the brand that you aspire to be and try emulate them, from what their store looks like to how their cart works to the emails you receive from them. Try emulate them, because they have a gigantic team who's managed to make their decisions and ride off that. So I think big is one of my biggest pieces of advice. And then also something that I've really learned to get comfortable is with being uncomfortable, which sounds cliche, but it's there's so many times where you're like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to. 9 times out of 10, you don't know what you're doing, and that feeling can really be uncomfortable. But sitting with that comes ultimate growth, because you learn how to be an email marketer, digital marketer, a shipping agent. You can be all of those things, and you do eventually learn. So sit with that uncomfortable feeling, because it comes with growth, and it really is a big factor to the journey.
Awesome. And Alan, on your side, I mean, you also work with businesses small and big, and some small businesses become big businesses. Just building on what Rebecca said, any little nuggets that you just want to leave with the audience as well?
So imperfect is the new perfect, and don't suffer from paralysis analysis. The most important thing is to take that leap of faith and to, get out the building, start. And exactly what Rebecca said is, I mean, for me as well, like, where did I learn? I learned in the University of Life, and I had a lot of mistakes. I went onto forums and just posted questions every day. On one forum, I think I did 1,000 posts. That's how I learned. And remember that you're not alone. So no matter what you're trying to do, thousands, if not millions of people have already done it. And Google is your friend. So that's a very powerful thing. It's just learn by teaching yourself. And if you can try, just have one mini win every single day with marginal gains over a year, you will be transformational.
Absolutely. What's the saying? 1% every day takes you so much further in terms of the momentum than trying to get 10% growth more often. Rebecca and Alan, this has been so inspirational, informative. Thank you so much for giving up your time to come and share with our audience. Very excited to have had you here. As I mentioned, I've been a fan of your brand even before this. So I've been like a little fangirl in the background. Keep doing the amazing work you're doing. You've got beautiful products, beautiful craft. Everything you do is amazing. And it makes me so proud about the businesses we actually have in South Africa. I always say, don't support local. You're actually shopping local. You're choosing the local brands when you actually just look at what's out there. So, thank you again for joining. And really look forward to having you guys again on our actual platform. And then for everybody, sorry, Rebecca, anything?
No, thank you. It's such an honor to be here. And if anyone has extra questions, you're welcome to reach out to me on Instagram, or I can see how I can help.
Awesome. Love that. And then for the audience that has joined, guys, thank you for joining yet another Fast Forward series. This will be available. I did see a couple of questions related to topics we have covered before. So what we will do is package this on our VHub platform and answer some of the questions that were asked here, linked to other articles. Guys, have a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you for your time. And we look forward to seeing and welcoming you guys back soon. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Bye.